That marking right there we call a double D or double discharge, and that is because this system is going to have a roof runoff drainage system for the downspout drains, as well as a French drain system. You can see this white paint here. We're actually going to be replacing this downspout here, which means we're going to have to pick up all of these pavers, dig a trench, and then install our line. And it'll look so much better for the client and be better for the foundation whenever the downspout extender is replaced with an underground system. Before we get too far along here, you can see those circles marked in the grass. That is where catch basins are going to be placed. And over here, we're going to use a Y to connect to this gutter downspout. We're going to have to be extra careful because there is a gas line here, and it'll be really bad if we hit that. As we keep going on the side of the house, you'll see we'll add one more Y and connect to one more downspout. And as you can see, it's going to be so much easier to take care of this lawn and mow this yard once those are replaced. And where that gate is where we'll start the French drain. We've already started excavating and laying pipe in the backyard, and it's a pretty simple procedure. We've got a sump pump discharge there on the left side, and we're going to put an overflow freeze protection unit on it. And then on the right side there, we've got a downspout that we're going to connect to. We noticed that this client does have those fancy expensive leaf guard filters, and you can see why there's quite a bit of debris up there, but we found that these don't always work perfectly, so we're going to be adding in an extra layer of protection by installing a downspout adapter that has a filter in it as well, and you'll see those in a minute. When we were excavating our trench, we found remnants of some clay pipe, which almost always gets clogged and was put in probably like 20 to 50 years ago. And I think one of the downspouts actually connected to this system, so we're going to be adding a huge improvement. Here you can see the basement sump pump discharge pipe. It comes out of the house as a 1.5-inch PVC. We use a Fernco elbow to connect to our freeze protection overflow adapter, and then we use another Fernco to connect that to our actual HDPE drainage pipe. Here's the leaf filter downspout adapter I was talking about earlier. We'll get into more about it in a minute, but we did just wrap up and complete the backyard. Over here you can see the sump pump and what it looks like once we've backfilled the trench, seeded and strawed the area. And if we follow this straw to the end of this trench down here, you can see there's a pop-up emitter, which is in the lowest part of the yard to make sure that it always discharges properly. This pop-up emitter has a flap on it that opens whenever the water pressure inside the pipe is great enough to open it, and then the water will go into the rest of your yard away from your foundation. These are the industry standard for residential applications if you can't discharge your pipe straight into a creek or a ditch or something like that. We're at a part in the video now that if you've made it this far, you'll probably enjoy our other videos, so go ahead and click that subscribe button. If we go to the front of the house here, you can see that Tyler is using a mini skid steer to excavate a small swale in the front of the house. We usually start our French drains or any application where a catch basin is needed by grading a swale so that the water will go naturally into the catch basin. We're actually going to be removing quite a bit of dirt from this client's yard, so we have a dump bed to load the dirt onto and take to an off-site location. After the swale was excavated, we then needed to remove a bunch of rock and extra soil near the house. You'll see that we're excavating very carefully near this gas line, which we've already identified is about 3 feet underground. And we're going to be removing a lot of this landscaping rock that's here, per the client's request. Now, technically we're not a landscaping company, and actually a lot of the work that we do is fixing drainage solutions that landscapers have installed without the proper experience or knowledge. And it's not completely their fault. We do drainage day in and day out all year long in the Kansas City area. It's our bread and butter. But we do find on a lot of the jobs that we do little extra stuff like this while the equipment is on site. Something a little extra that makes our client happy and builds our goodwill. Here's that clay pipe that I was mentioning earlier. You can see it's about 1.5 feet in the ground, and you can also see that it is very clearly clogged with dirt. As I zoom out here, you can see that Tyler is now installing the non-woven geotextile filter fabric for our French drain. We like to pin it down with landscape pins to make it easier to work with, especially with situations like this, where we're going to be running up to 4 pipes in a trench. A lot of the French drains that we've been hired to replace are actually French drains that are built without this filter fabric. And what happens is without it, the dirt and particulates just enter the system and then eventually clog it up, kind of like that clay pipe that I just showed you earlier. Now let's take a look at this downspout adapter that Greg is installing. You can see he's kind of sitting on an elbow right there, which goes to the discharge area, and he's going to be adding a riser, which is basically just a piece of pipe that he's shoving in the elbow right now, to the downspout adapter, which you can see is kind of hanging off the gutter downspout. We don't like to tape the connection of the pipe to the gutter downspout because it's above the ground, and we think that that black pipe tape doesn't look super professional if people can see it. So what we do is we actually make the pipe a little bit longer than needed to make sure that it actually pushes up on the adapter and holds it in place via pressure. We still tape the connection that is underground though. Oh, by the way, that downspout adapter is French Drain Man's downspout adapter, and it actually has a leaf filter inside of it. You can see there's kind of a cover, and if you remove that cover, there's actually a grate in there that you can access regularly and maintain the system by pulling out any leaves or debris that I guess make it through the leaf filter gutter system that the client had installed. Here's the downspout adapter that's near the porch, and we've removed the pavers to install this, and we're going to put them back in a second. But you can see that cover comes off super easy, and there's a blue grate in there that catches any debris or leaves that might make its way through your gutter system. Alright, here's all the pipes installed. On the bottom you can barely see them, but there are two black perforated pipes that act as the French drain. There's one blue pipe on the left that connects all the catch basins, and there's also a blue solid pipe on the right side that connects all of the downspouts. We connect the two French drain pipes together using a Y and then direct them to one pop-up emitter, and then the catch basin and the downspout drains also Y together to their own discharge pipe with their own pop-up emitter, so there's no possibility of water going back into the French drain. Once we double check all the connections and make sure that they've all been taped properly and are waterproof, the next step is to install the 1-inch clean gravel into the system so that the French drain can function properly. Gravel is really important here because the gravel actually creates air pockets in between the pieces of gravel. We call that void, and the water can use those voids through gravity to enter the pipes quicker and be excavated away from your home or your foundation. Earlier, I kind of skipped over the catch basin installation because I don't think I had much footage of that, but one thing that we always do with the catch basins is drill a hole in the bottom of them. It's a small hole, enough so that when the rain event stops, the catch basin can then drain out so that it's not holding any water, attracting mosquitoes or any other bugs or pests that might be attracted to it. Another thing that's really important is when we're installing these catch basins, or rather installing the gravel around them, we always use a level to make sure that they are level and a couple of inches below the actual soil grades so that we can use the swale that we created earlier to direct the water into the catch basin. And at least the water that doesn't make it into the catch basin can be absorbed through the soil, into the gravel, and then into the French drain. Once all the gravel has been installed and it's around 4 to 6 inches below the actual final grade level, what we do is we burrito wrap our French drain. So basically what this means is that the filter fabric completely encapsulates the system. It's on the bottom, it's on the sides, and then we actually wrap it over the top as well and then use landscaping pins to pin it down. Now the fabric that we use is 4-ounce filter fabric, and 4 ounce is perfect. If you lay one 4-ounce piece of fabric over another piece of 4-ounce fabric, it actually becomes too thick for water to quickly go through. And so what we have to do here is make sure that there's barely any overlap. In our systems, we like a 2-inch overlap of the fabric on one side of the trench. This is actually what Greg is doing right now. He is cutting up the fabric so that there is a 2-inch overlap of the fabric, which he can then pin down. The end of the French drain is the hardest to do because all that fabric gets mushed up, but the rest of the fabric is really easy to do this way. Also, when it comes to catch basins, you want to cut around the catch basin, but not enough that a whole bunch of rock is showing. Otherwise, your French drain will eventually fill up with some dirt in that area. Beautiful. Once all of the fabric has been cut and laid over and then pinned down by landscape pins, the next step is to bring dirt back in and fill the remaining 4 to 6 inches with soil so that grass can eventually grow. We always compact this dirt as much as possible to reduce settling. However, it doesn't have to be perfect because it is in a swale, so any settling is actually going to make the swale more effective. One mistake we made on this project is those catch basins, usually before we backfill, we actually tape them down with some tape so that the inside of the catch basin stays clean. And because we didn't do this, we had to spend a little extra time taking the lids off, cleaning the insides of the basins, and then putting the lids back on. Here's what the final project looks like. We put down seed, we put down fertilizer, we put down straw, and then in a couple large sections of this front yard, we actually put down erosion blanket. And now this homeowner isn't going to have to worry about any water issues in their front yard, their backyard, or near their foundation. If you're in the Kansas City area and you're having drainage issues, whether it's water pooling in your yard or a leaky basement, or you just got a spot that's really muddy, You can book a free consultation on our website. After you select a time and submit it, we'll send a drainage engineer out to your house for proper recommendations and then even a bid for us to complete the project. We focus on drainage projects, so French drains, catch basins, buried downspouts, sump pump discharges, things like that. That is our bread and butter. If you want it done right and you don't want to have to fix it in a year or 5 years or 10 years, check the link in the description below to get your free consultation. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. And if you saw something in this video that you thought we could have done better, leave a comment below.